All right. How's everybody doing tonight? So I've got a couple of things I'd like to discuss. I had a few people send in some questions, and I know we've got a couple of deals that we need to go through. Good to see everybody back. All right, so let's start this thing off. So first of all, Marat had some questions early in the week. Marat, can you unmute yourself?
Hey everybody.
Hey,
Can
how
you
you
hear
doing?
me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, thank you. Everything is good. Yes. I just have question. Maybe not one question, two questions, but related with one item. It's related with the license because I'm in California,
Yes.
and I started to check if I'm not investor. Do I need to have a license or not? And I started to check, and I found two things, very interesting things. First of all, if you are not broker, you need to have a broker license. If you are originator of nodes, you need to have license. And my question is, if I'm not investor, do I need to have a license or not? Because from one side, I do activity like as a broker, but the difference when I'm when I work like as a node investor, I buy nodes for myself, just for my money, my own money.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm node broker, I just like as a representative of somebody, and I receive some referral fee. And what is the what I mean the I don't understand the finally. Do I need to have a license or not? And the second question, if I like as a node investor modify new nodes, modify nodes. For example, we buy junior lean, and after that we decided to modify them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as a new node. It is originating of nodes or not. Do I need to have license for like as the originator of nodes or not? Or it's not originator?
Good stuff. Okay, so two very important questions. As far as licensing, whenever you want to check on any state that you want to look at as far as buying notes, the National Mortgage Lending website, NMLS, is the website you want to go to. I believe it's .net. Let me just let me pull that up real quick here. Okay, so let me go for a new window. Licensing system, that's what it is. Going here and looking at this state by state licensing requirements will be the most up to date. So let's just go to California and take a look. Okay, so you need a Lending Act license, California Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, student loan servicing license, money transmitter license. All these things are very important, and they change. They definitely change. So if you want to do business in any and every state, this is the place to go. I would definitely bookmark this as something that is going to be very important to your business. This is where Madison Management Services goes to find out exactly how he needs to get licensed in every state. This is his source for the information. There's really, it covers every base going to this website. Go over it with your attorney if you still have questions. Now, the way that I'm familiar with people that do business in California as a broker is they pay a real estate broker $500 a year or $1,000 a year to use their license, so that the transactions actually fall under that realtor. Again, I would check with an attorney to make sure that that is actually a legal function. I've been in this business 14 years now, and I know of 2 instances where licensing became an issue. One was an investor in Georgia. Prior to maybe 2010, we did not need a license. Then Georgia caught on and said, hey, here's another revenue stream. Let's get everybody licensed and they can pay us, I don't know, $100 a year or whatever, $200 a year. So we all had mortgages in Georgia. Georgia is a very fast foreclosure state, non-judicial. It was a great state to do business in. We all had loans. When I say we all, my investor friends and I. And so one of them decided that he was going to do a lot more business in Georgia and he's going to go ahead and get a license. And so he called them up, contacted them. Instead of just applying for the license and not saying anything, he got on the phone and spoke with someone and said that he wanted to get licensed because he had some loans in that state and he wanted to do it right. Well, it turns out that they actually wrote him a $1,500 fine for the loans that he already had. Even though he's trying to play it by the book and do things right, he got penalized for the $1,500 for that. So just be careful when you're looking and getting into the licensing issues. Talk to someone who's already licensed in that state. If you don't know someone, I can put you in touch with someone who does have licensing. I've got a lot of friends in this business who own notes, and I'll put you in touch with the right people when you are looking at certain loans to purchase. The second part of your question was in regards to, trying to remember now. What was your second question real quick?
My second question, hello, everybody. Yeah, my second question was related, if I modify a loan,
Oh yeah. Okay.
am I originator or not?
Yes. So
because for originator, it's I need to have another license.
correct. So our workaround that we learned this years ago was to do a temporary forbearance agreement. Now the temporary forbearance agreement could last for the life of the loan, but we use what's called a temporary forbearance agreement. We're forbearing the right to foreclose as long as you stick to these guidelines. I also call it a forbearance. Let's see, I call it an agreement. Man, I'm having tough time tonight here.
Maybe it's related that who organized this loan the first. If you organize this loan the first, you are considered like as an originator. If you modify, you are not originator. It's maybe like this. No?
Yeah, it's a temporary forbearance agreement, and that will, from what I've heard, hold up in court. That say, listen, if you fall out of these terms, we're going to go back to foreclosure. Which means that we revert back to the original note, and in that case, then the terms go back to what the original note is. We have not modified and gotten rid of the original note. The original note is still in place, but this is a temporary forbearance agreement, and once you get in. Once you get a borrower performing, there's very little issues that arise. Yeah. The borrowers start making $400 a month, and you can pretty much count on that $400 a month just coming in. And it's a smooth ride from there on out. Especially if you're using a servicer. Now everything is on the servicing company for them to draft the correct documents. Now, a lot of these servicers do have the right to do a traditional loan modification, because they are licensed as originators. So that's how they operate. But once you get a borrower performing, it usually continues for the period that you've changed those terms to. So if you got another 20 years to go, you could pretty much count on that $400 check showing up until either the house sells or the loan expires, the temporary forbearance agreement expires. It's very rare that we've ever had a borrower go bad once we do a workout. That's just going from case history and talking to a lot of other people. It's a very, very low percentage of another default, unless something traumatic happens, a death in a family or something. We've had very good luck with things going very smoothly once we get them into a repayment situation. So getting back to the California deals, and I'm sure there's all different kinds of workarounds as far as you taking possession of the note, creating the assignment in your company's name, and then at some point down the road, selling that note to another investor, whether it's one or 1,000. Does it look like brokering when you are actually taking possession of the loan and then selling the loan out? That's you know what, you understand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a brokering.
That would not be looked at as brokering, because you actually took possession of the note as an investor. You owned the note, and then you sold it for a profit or a loss to someone else. I don't consider that to be a brokering position. Now,
Okay. I agree with you fully, but I need just the confirmation. Yes.
yeah, well, don't
Yeah.
count on me. I would definitely get an attorney, and I know that you had asked for an attorney out in California, which I do not have off the top of my head. Maybe someone else on this call does. When we do foreclosures in these non-judicial states, California, Arizona, we use a trustee instead of an attorney to foreclose. So that's why I don't have any attorneys in most of those states.
Hey, Mike, it's MJ.
Hey, MJ, how you doing?
Would Matt Kelly work for Murat?
Hi. Sorry.
Matt Kelly.
Yeah, Matt Kelly is a very smart note investor trustee.
Doesn't he work for a company though that will work through that process?
The process of what?
Well, I think he works for a trust company.
Well, yeah,
that would go through the process of foreclosing and doing all that stuff that we would normally hand it to an attorney for.
that's exactly right. That's what I'm saying. I don't have an attorney to give him to seek legal advice, and Matt Kelly is not an attorney.
Now, I might reach out to him though, if you can get, I don't know his information offhand, but I might reach out to him and see what he can help him provide, because he's in California, isn't he?
I will appreciate you if you help us.
Yeah, we can. MJ, why don't you send over Matt's contact info? I don't think I have it.
Let me see if I can find it. I know somebody's going to have it somewhere, but we just got to find it. And he actually spoke with me. I had a property in California at one point, but had to go through this whole process. I actually took possession of it and had to sell it. And Matt Kelly answered a lot of my questions. I didn't use him to do this, or his company rather. But he answered a lot of my questions because he is California based.
Yep. Cool. Appreciate that, MJ.
I'll find that information. I'll send it over.
Thank you.
Yep. Very cool. All right, great. So definitely seek legal advice when you're trying to get some of these questions answered. But I know some of the workarounds that people have used that I've seen people take advantage of. So using another real estate broker, have they even ever gotten questioned? I do not, to my knowledge, nothing has ever transpired about that. Brokering notes instead of brokering houses. I don't even know what situation could arise for the California to actually go after you. I'm not saying do something that you're not supposed to do. But I can assure you there are people out there that are brokering notes that don't have a real estate license. And I'm just trying to think of a situation that would arise other than you brokering notes and the person you sold the notes to was not happy with your job, whether you ripped them off or the transaction didn't go well. Then they would actually report you to the licensing people. So I'd be pretty hard to find a case where that actually happened. But good questions, Murat. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. So the other thing that does anybody else have any topics that they would like to discuss tonight? Any questions or anything? I'll just give you a second. Just go ahead and unmute yourself or type it into the chat box if you have noisy background or anything. Okay, I take that as a no. If something pops into your head, just type it into the chat box. I'd appreciate it. I'm always looking for something to talk about, and I'm always looking for new topics. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was contacting banks. And so we want to differentiate ourselves from the other people that are out there contacting banks. I have to safely assume that at least 80% of the banks that are out there have been contacted by someone in the past looking for non-performing paper. Whether they came from Breck Palumbo and his training or Julie, who's on this call, her training. She has a training program out there on how to contact banks and what to say and how to say it and how to track down the right person and be very accurate with who you're actually contacting, whether it's by email or phone conversation, using LinkedIn, all the different tools that I'm going to get into here. But you have to safely assume that at some point or another, at least someone in that bank has been approached by someone looking for notes, non-performing residential, commercial, junior position, senior position loans. And we want to separate ourselves and look different from who they've talked to in the past. So the thing that has worked for me is within the first 30 seconds of my making contact with that person is letting them know that I'd be willing to go out there, jump on a plane and meet you there by Friday or Monday or Tuesday of next week. It shows that you're serious about this business. It shows that you have means to get out there to do that. If you don't have the means to get out there and do that on your own, please let me know and I'll get you out there. And if I have to go out there with you, I'd be happy to make these contacts. It's that critical. It's that important. And I want to, like I said, separate myself from the other people that are making the calls that maybe do not have the means to actually fly out to Wichita, Kansas, or wherever the headquarters is. They just don't have the money to do it. So I want to get that point across in the first 30 seconds to prove to them that I'm dead serious about this. And we are willing to jump on a plane, come out there, buy you lunch, go through some of the assets that you have, just discuss what you have in person. Of course, that wasn't a possibility, a year ago or 6 months ago. But I think, now is a time that we can actually start saying that in our conversation, again, because of all the stuff that's gone on. I know that Sachin has gone out to quite a few banks, I think, now, and sit down face to face and let them know that, hey, we're serious. Here we are. We're in the flesh and we're ready to do some business. And so I highly recommend that be in the first 30 seconds of your conversation, with a reminder at the end of the conversation about the same thing, to say, hey, don't forget, I'll jump on a plane and get out there if you think we're a good fit. So the next thing that I want to really emphasize is every bank that I have ever talked to, even every note seller, whether it's a hedge fund or anything, could care less about me. It's all about them and what's in it for them. And you have to keep that in mind when you're discussing, when you're wanting to discuss what's in it for me. You have to remember that these people are all about what's in it for them, getting rid of their worst assets first and then working their way through the portfolio. Now, the biggest problem, once I find someone that does recognize that they do have bad product, they recognize that I am a viable buyer, the biggest roadblock next is for them to find the time to go through the assets to make sure that they're not throwing out good notes alongside of their bad notes. And so that takes time on their end, as far as going through and making sure that these loans are still viable, still valid, making sure that they have not gotten wiped out, making sure that they're not giving away really good loans at a really bad price. And so that's the biggest hurdle that I've come across so far. After you actually find the right person that you were talking to. So that I make part of my conversations to say, listen, I will help you with the due diligence process. Don't worry about whether or not these loans have been, the properties have sold, or the first mortgage has foreclosed and wiped out this junior lien that you're trying to sell me. I will do that due diligence. Believe me, because it's in my best interest to really make sure that these notes are something that we want to take on and bring into the company. Because we have found that, maybe out of the 40 loans that they sent over to us, 5 of them have been wiped out, or the property has sold, and that's no longer a valid lien. And if your company got paid, I'll let you know that loan is no longer secured. Trust me, it's in my best interest to do that. So I want to take as much of that due diligence burden off of their hands in the very first phone call, because it is overwhelming, especially now with COVID. Getting more employees and getting things done is more difficult. And I know just with my own situation, with the bank that I've been buying from for the last 5 years, one of the people during COVID who was she was the best representative. She retired, and that was my best contact over there. And so now the two people that are part of the trade desk, I don't think are as capable as this one woman was. I've been actually talking to this woman for probably 7 years now. I see that, MJ. Everybody, you can look in the chat window. It looks like MJ found Matt Kelly's contact info. Thank you. So the people that we're going to be talking to now may be new to the bank. They may be not as competent as the people that used to be there. And that's our challenge. You know, that is our challenge in a good way, because it's our job to educate these people to say, listen, this really is in your best interest to get these things off your books because we're going to be getting these bad loans off your books. We're going to be giving you bottom line profit for your bank by the money that we purchase these loans from. If you've been writing them down correctly, which I'm sure you have been, writing them down to a level that would actually show up as profit for you, it's in your best interest to at least let us look at a couple of these things. And I get that you have, 200 loans that are non-performing. Let's just go with one or two. Let me show you how we do what we do. Let's get our processes in place. Let's get wiring down so that we wire the money to you quickly. That way we have a template set up at the bank where I could just pull up your template and shoot a wire over same day or next day. I have no problem with that. Let's get systems in place as far as us seeing what kind of information you're able to supply us for us to perform our due diligence properly. And we'll use these two loans as a test, or not only as a test, but as a template for future trades. And sometimes I go, you know what, let's just do one loan right now. I'm like, let's do one loan. And I always buy that loan unless they want par for it, because we are getting a system in place that we use as a template for the future. So if they've got 40 loans, I can be pretty confident that these loans have not been looked at or worked or even thought about in the last, 5 years, 10 years. We, as people that are using Distress Pro, we can go into the backside of the bank and see what exactly they do have on their books. And I can tell you a lot of that is legacy paper from 2010 and 12 that has been sitting there. And it does that bank no good to hold on to those non-performing loans. So it really is our job to help them with the process. And it may just mean them taking the information and putting it into a spreadsheet, because it's probably not, maybe it's not in a spreadsheet right now. And that takes manpower, that takes hours. So be that friendly person that can actually help that bank out of their bad situation. But we first have to prove to them that it really is in their best interest to get those loans off the books. So, that's, it really is a fast phone call. The initial phone call really is, hey, are we a good fit or not? Are we the right people to be talking? Should we even be talking to each other? And I don't want to waste anybody's time. And, whether it is even a phone call. Now, some of you are new to this. I love using LinkedIn to contact people that I think are the right fit at the bank, because now I know their title. I can see where they've worked in the past, what their job functions were at the previous place, and why they ended up getting the job that they're in now with that position that they're in, because you can see the progression. You know, first they started out in investments with this bank, and then they moved into collections, and then they moved into, you know, the non-performing end of it. And that's important to know where they've been and where they are now at this new bank that they're at. So what I do is I write a little message and I put a link in there to actually schedule a call with me. And I've gotten some contacts to do that during this COVID period. So that was huge. I like that because it's not intrusive. You know, and I've said this before, unless I'm expecting a call from a number that I don't know, I probably won't pick up, because my phone just rings all day long with these warranty freaking calls. And I'm sure I have to assume that their phone is blown up with that garbage too. So it's very rare that, unless I'm really waiting, if I've got some deals that are closing or something, probably from a phone number I don't expect, for my phone to actually recognize, I'll pick up, but that's the only time. That's just my style. Some people swear on cold calling these people. They swear by using the email format of taking the first initial of the person's name and adding a period in there, and then the person's last name at wellsfargo.com. Take it as their email address. Some people get great, fantastic results from that. I've never done that. I don't think. Maybe I've tried it a couple of times, but I'm really big on using LinkedIn. I think when a person sets up their LinkedIn profile, they kind of expect to get contacted sooner or later. I know I do. I expect to say, hey, listen, you know, I've got 2,000 contacts. These people are allowed to reach out to me now, and maybe some of them really have a sweet deal for me. And so I take the time to, when I am contacted, to reach back to somebody on LinkedIn. You know, like messaging on LinkedIn is kind of like text messaging on your phone. It's very rare that you will get a text message that you miss. You know, like you're scrolling through your emails. Well, everybody misses emails. There's just no doubt about it. But unless you're getting a lot of text messages, it's pretty rare to miss a text message. Well, I think LinkedIn is the same way. As soon as you get onto LinkedIn to do something, if there is a message waiting, that box pops up, and it's really hard to say no thanks or very interesting, let's schedule a call to talk. And so that's why I believe in LinkedIn messaging. So with that, that's as brief as I make these contacts. So with LinkedIn, if anybody wants to get a copy of what I send out to LinkedIn, I do get like a 50% connection rate when I do try to contact one of these loan officers at the bank. And so I think that's a pretty darn good thing. So I put in there, listen, this will be a 3-minute phone call. I just want to introduce myself and our services on how we can put some money onto your bottom line for profit and make your life easier. So if anybody wants to get a copy of that, just shoot me an email. mike@noconference.com, and I'll get a copy of that over to you. It's simple and it's effective. So that's essentially it. Contacting these banks. Now, I love looking at assignments from a certain bank. I want to see who actually signed that assignment. So Julia's asking, do you use a different LinkedIn account for contacting banks? I have been struggling with that for 12 years now. So let me finish with that and I'll get back to that, Julia, in a second here. Let me just make a note. LinkedIn. Well, you know what? This is important. Let me go ahead and do this. So in the very beginning of my note business experience, I wanted to connect with as many of you folks as possible, potential people that were in the ranks of up and coming note investor. Those are the people that I wanted to associate myself with, because I wanted to associate with people that were actually trying to get the results that I'm trying to get myself. So my LinkedIn profile was targeting, my personal LinkedIn profile was targeting aspiring note investors and accomplished note investors like you folks. And it worked. I ended up meeting a lot of people. I started holding my own webinars with those people on the stuff that I'm talking about right now, things that work for me and things that haven't worked for me. I've been doing that for 12 or 13 years now. I think you should all be doing that. You should be holding your own webinars on the side and meeting other people that are not part of Fast Track Business. They are, who knows, learning the business from other people and connecting with those people as well. They may have learned this business 10 years ago and kind of forgotten about it. And now they're poking around on LinkedIn. They come across you. Well, you connect with them and put them into your conference call type of situation and start holding webinars with them and be the person at the front of the room discussing stuff, or maybe someone has an idea or topic and you can make them a guest speaker for the night. That I firmly believe is what has kept me in touch with some very influential people in this business, is just letting people know that, hey, I am available. I'm out here. I'm still alive. I'm still buying notes. I'm still looking at notes. I'm still connecting with people. That's why people bring me notes, because they know that I'm active. They know that I've got friends that have money and that buy pools of notes. And so let me side up with Mike Rosica and see if he won't be able to help me sell the notes that I have, or broker the notes that I found, or something. It's unfortunate that very few people that I tell this to actually do it. I really am very big on the fact that my network has gotten me to where I am in the note business. And without it, it's just nothing would happen. So with that being said, in the very beginning, I had my audience that I was looking for were people that I could buy notes alongside, and I could learn their shortcuts and tricks in the note business as well. And hey, maybe I even have a few pointers that I can help them out with, things that have worked for me in the past. I just love that. It's who I am. I'll never not be teaching this business, I don't think, because it's how I meet some pretty influential people by by being out there. I look at one mentor that I worked for as a coach years ago. He was doing pretty much what I'm doing. He was holding weekly calls, a group call like this, and someone brought him, I don't know, a tape with 700 loans or something. And he got in touch with the bank. The bank offered him financing to buy these $7 million worth of notes. The bank was actually willing to lend him money so that he could buy the loans back off of him. And they ended up being some really good notes. And he's like, you know what? See you, folks. I'm out of here. I'm done coaching. I'm too busy now with this portfolio. And that was the end of that. So that really, by him going out and coaching and sharing his knowledge, really put him on the map as a major debt buyer in the nation. And it was because of his coaching program. It would never have happened without that. Very important. I wish you all would go out and start doing your own networking events. I'm heading to, a couple of people that are on this call are heading down to Texas. I believe it's November 3rd and 4th for Note Expo. You can bet that every person that I meet down there is going to get some type of contact from me about whether they want to invest with me or get educated from me, or they will be contacted. You know, a lot of people, they go to these things, they get a stack of business cards and then they don't do anything with it. Why go to the event? It's doesn't make sense. I think people are just too shy. They don't think they have something to offer someone else. You know, your outside skills, not only your note skills, but your outside skills can be of help to other people as well. Like my outside skill is photography, let's say. Well, for you to be a good marketer, you need to get into some type of, for me, it's YouTube. For you, maybe it's some other social media. But even with social media, there is going to be some form of photography that needs to blend together with, in my case, the note business. Or I'm really into food. So when I hold an event in the very beginning, I would do all the cooking for these events for all the people. That quickly stopped when my events got to be a little too big. I let my daughter go figure out who's going to do the catering. But your side skills, or they may be even your main skills right now, and you're trying to break into the note business, you may be really good at computers. Well, you know, people need help with computers. And so you can do a webinar on how you create amortization tables, or what you're using to board your notes, what computer system are you using as a CRM for your borrowers to make connection with them, or how you manage your servicing company and keep track of all the attorneys that you're using. Endless ways of using your side skills to actually help other people with their note business. So getting back to audiences, that was my first audience. I was looking for people like you who were willing and wanting to learn the note business. I hung out with those people. My profile looked as though I was looking for investors. And so I created a list of note buyers that I am still in contact with, and that was 14 years ago. So now I've got this list of note buyers. It still continues to grow, but my next audience was looking for students. So I changed my entire LinkedIn profile to look for students, note education, who wants to learn about the note business. Now, I still market that a little bit, not very much anymore. I'm too busy with other things at the moment looking for students, but building that side of the business out through that platform, which is LinkedIn, looking for a different audience. And so as the years passed, I accumulated, quite a few students, and those students went on to become partners with me in Notes. And so I stopped really looking for students. I do have, like I said, other marketing channels that I still continue to look for students by giving hopefully good advice, free advice to people in the note space. And now my audience is going to shift to looking for investors. We are starting a hedge fund, and well, it's a fund. It's not really hedging against anything. And we're starting a fund, and this new audience that I have never looked for before are people that want to passively invest in the note business. My back is starting to act up here. So looking for people that want to passively get a return, and I can use the note business for that return. And so now my profile, my current audience right now is looking for bankers that are working with non-performing notes, connections with those banks. So my profile reads that way. I am the vice president of acquisitions at, I think I'm using Ocean Point Trust, and we're looking for assets. So that's my third audience. Now my fourth audience is going to switch gears and start looking for private investments. Now, to Julie's question, do I use the same account? So far, I have used the same account for all three audiences. Note investors, which I have a bunch of. Students, which I've had a bunch of and still continue to have a bunch of. And now these bankers. So I still want to continue to look for bankers. So I am probably going to open up a new LinkedIn account to look for the private money. Now, the thing with a brand new LinkedIn account is the credibility of having a LinkedIn account for all these years. So I'm still wrestling around with that thought, but I probably do not want to mix these other three audiences with these private investors that we'll be looking for through a private placement. So do I use a different LinkedIn account for banks? Yeah. I'm going to continue using my current account. What's really cool that's happened over the years of having such an old LinkedIn account and just accepting everyone. I have a lot of mutual friends that have connected with the person I'm trying to connect. I think that's why I've got such a high connection ratio, is these people say, oh, this guy's friends with two other people that I know on LinkedIn. I'll go ahead and connect with him. He must be okay. I think that's why. So I've got so many of those network connections through LinkedIn because somebody knows somebody who knows somebody else. And it's that separation thing that is really cool. Is there any other questions out there? Any questions about this topic, connecting with banks? I'd love to go through it.
Yes, Mike. Good afternoon. Good evening. Sachin here.
Hey, how you doing?
I can talk about this for days together, but actually we were on a call today with two banks. So it's a hard and laborious process, and I don't know what questions to ask you. I think our biggest issue has been when you get somebody on the line, they want to sell the note, and these are all commercial. First of all, we have had no success with residential so far. Nobody wants to sell residential, but they want par. So I don't know what to talk to these people, and what would you suggest that, why would somebody buy this at par? Because it's not performing. It is a problem for you. Somebody wants to take over your problem. Why would they give you par? And we've had the biggest challenge here on that front. And I don't know what to tell these people. Do you have any suggestions?
Well, I've seen the same thing with commercial. I've seen the same thing even with first mortgages, where I can't get the seller to come down low enough to get the buyer to come up high enough to make a deal work. Unless the paper is really bad, to get them off of those numbers. With seconds, it's easy. It's been easy for the last 10 years. It really has been easy. Now, well, I think in the months to come, hopefully things will become easier again. But it really comes down to, and I don't know what other kinds of conversations you're having with them, such as far as why they're not worth buying at par. What kind of reaction do you get when you tell them it's just not worth it?
Nothing in concrete in return. It's all that our committee doesn't want to sell, or our bosses don't want to sell less than par, and all these kind of flimsy excuses. Nothing of concrete that why they want par for this note.
It could be that you're not talking to the right person. Because are you talking to like real high up people? Or?
Yes. So this bank, we went through CFO. He put us in touch with their vice president who manages this. And we in fact turned around and gave him an offer with proof of funds. And they said no. And I said, why? And what's the reason? What is it? So there's just no, our committee has decided not to go below par. It's okay. And another situation, again, it was a pretty senior guy, and I looked through their quarter 1 or 2, I don't remember now, their results that was posted on their website. They have taken a charge off on that loan, specific loan, and that was mentioned. And I went back and they still want par. So again, it was pretty senior guy there at the bank. And like today, they don't want par, but obviously we have to go through the process of giving them a offer. But today this was a guy who was actually the right guy to talk to, and he's been selling. The last quarter they sold about $50 million of loan, and this is a loan worth $10 million. And I said, what is the price? They said, nobody tells you the price, so you have to go back with the firm offer. And obviously nobody wants to take a haircut. So we'll have to work through this over the weekend and talk to some people next week and go back with an offer, concrete offer.
Great.
So yeah, I think we are talking to the right guy.
Okay.
Because they do share files with us. If they're not the right person, they won't share the files. And also, we spoke to another bank, Illinois Bank. he's an ex-president of the bank, and he's now in transition and handing over to the new CEO. And he says, I want to clean the bank before I go in April. So I want just one loan to sell right now.
Yeah.
And I said, fine, we'll do that. We'll try to help you.
Well, that sounds promising. I mean, it could be that these things are so newly defaulted that they haven't had the opportunity to write these things down. Do you know how defaulted they are?
Not the one that I spoke to the Illinois bank, because I haven't seen the papers, but this one, the one I was talking to, the $10 million loan, this guy is, the borrower is taking bank for a big ride, and it has been defaulting since December of 2018.
Got it. Interesting.
So, and they share all the files once you do through NDA process and all that. And once I'm talking about when I've seen the actual files of the note, not something that, just not, loosey-goosey in discussions. And my other challenge has been that banks don't want to sell, and so they haven't sold. You can see it from the FDIC reports. And when they respond, they just have nothing to sell. So that's okay. Thank you. So,
I mean, you may be able, maybe you can ask them to say, listen, what if this thing is still non-performing 6 months from now? Would it make sense at that time to at least give it some type of a discount to make it attractive for us?
So,
because,
I mean, they don't want to sell. They don't even talk further. So we also sometimes in the second email, not the first one, maybe I was thinking we can throw in the first email itself. We normally throw in, like, we like to, give you a quick market feedback on the price of your note. Then you can decide what you want to do with it. And we also, throw in, like, we'll put up marketing material for you if you want to sell this. Yeah, those are the two things I've been putting in my emails. But yours was a good idea that I can do even DD for you, Evan. Because these banks, my experience is, so far, they dump data on you. Like even today, while initial part of the call, I was going through the documents that came through. What's
that? Say that again.
They just dump data on you, like files and files and files. So you have to, nobody does a tape or anything. No, they just throw documents your way. That's it. You go figure out.
Interesting. Well, I would definitely ask him, say, listen, I get that you need part today. I understand it, but let's revisit this 6 months from now. I truly know for a fact that there is not blood in the streets yet, like not even close. People are spending money like crazy. Bank accounts, people have more money in the bank than they've ever had. I've heard this from two different sources now, that these bankers don't know what to do with the amount of money that people are depositing into the bank account. And due to refinancing, due to cash out refis, because rents are going up. All my tenants' rents have gone up just because I can. And these people are like, no problem. I need a place to live. There's nothing available in our town anymore. The economy is really on fire. There's just no blood in the streets yet. And when there's blood in the streets, you're going to see those poor people sing a different tune. But you're making the relationship. I think that is the most important thing. They know who you are. They know how you are aggressive and you're willing to do a deal. And I think by planting that seed and continuing to water it, you'll be in the right place at the right time. It's the people that aren't planting that seed that when things are starting to get a little funky out there, they'll be more willing to talk to you than they would be someone else just off the street. So
Thank you. No, we are not deterred. I'm just sharing my experience with you. So we are not deterred. We are going to keep plowing.
I appreciate it. No, it's great.
Other thing that I wanted to bring up is if you're using any special tools or, I mean, like CRM packages or printing letter services or anything that that'll be nice to, have your views and experience or anybody's experience or views on the call. We just do it manually today, and it's just so tedious and laborious process. Because every email that we sent out is custom, like, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so, as per your FDIC report, we saw so much of so-and on your non-accrual. We like to, whatever this thing is, but it's all very custom to that bank. And in that process, we also got in touch with XYZ, and those names are very specific. So it's very manual and laborious process. And letter also, we print it, we put it in an envelope, handwrite the address, and then put a stamp on it and send out. I mean, that's laborious.
Me personally, I think that's the best way to do it. I guess once you get better at it, I guess you could say, or you start getting better results, you can stick with one format and get rid of another format, kind of like test marketing. But I look at I've only had, I would have to say 9 or 10 relationships over the last 14 years with sourcing product, maybe 12 people that I've actually closed a deal on. So in my mind, it's worth it to say, listen, over 14 years, only 12 sources of product. I don't need 200 sources or 2,000 or even 20. I've usually only had 1 to 2 sources at the same time. I don't know if that's because of my laziness. When I've got one source, I'm like, well, I'm good to go, and let's start buying some notes. So I look at the number of sources that I've had, 12 sources over 14 years. And I have to smile because I'm thinking about these guys and girls that are out there flipping houses, and how many people they have to talk to get their sources. And those sources usually only have one asset. I'm finding one source that has 1,200 assets. And that's why this business, in my mind, is so scalable. And when I was out flipping houses, there was no scale to it at all. I mean, for me to double production would have been a major process. So that is what I found so attractive about this business was I get one source, and that source could last me 3 to 5 years of me being very active in the note space. Not only buying for myself and my own consumption, but for my friends. And that's what keeps me, that's what keeps me motivated and keeps me going, is knowing that, hey, once I get that one source, it's not about that first note or that one note that you're going to buy off of them. It's them believing that, hey, we've got a good way to get rid of these notes now. We got somebody who does what they say they're going to do. They close when they say they're going to close. They've got capital when they say they're going to send the capital over. That is a very important thing for them to have that confidence to know that you're not going to embarrass them down the line. So I always come back to that thought of one source, hundreds, if not thousands of product compared to when I was doing a house, I was the house guy, one house, one deal. And so that's what keeps me motivated. I see you type something, Sachin. Did you have a question?
Sorry, I was just responding to Julie's.
Oh,
question.
to Julie. Okay. It went to everyone. So any more questions about this topic?
Yes, one more. Sorry.
Yeah.
What's a DMI vendor?
What's a what?
DMI vendor.
D
I
as
don't
in
know.
dog?
D as in dog, M as in Mary, I as in Ireland.
A DMI lender.
Vendor.
Oh, vendor.
Yeah. I don't know if I got that right because with the bank, I was pushing for residential. And then he said, you know what, there's another guy who works with a DMI vendor and they do their own stuff and they've been serving them for a very long time. So I hope I got
Another
DMI.
acronym. Yeah, no, not familiar with that.
Okay.
Yep. Did you try Googling it?
Yeah, I tried, but nothing. I didn't spend much time on it because I was doing some other stuff.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
I would always steer back the conversation. Oh, I see 1 million plus on your HELOCs. What are you doing about it? You were like, finally said, I'm working. My colleague is working with a DMI vendor and they do that stuff. I don't handle that. So,
DMI. I have to think about that one. Let me make a note of that.
maybe some servicing company or I don't know.
Yeah. Distressed mortgage. Interesting. All right. Any other questions or topics? Thanks a lot, Sachin. I appreciate all that.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, it's Tom.
What's up, Tom?
Hey, this is on another topic, but as you just said, any other questions or topics?
Sure.
I know in the past we've had somebody on that was doing the merchant loans, and I was just curious what that industry is doing right now, since money seems so available and loose from so many different sources.
Yeah. So that was my buddy James DeBarry, and he was doing those merchant cash advances. So with those people, I know he's still very active. He's still enjoying himself with that business, and it's kind of like what some other person I know is doing, factoring loans. The money that was going out to those merchant cash advance people, those people didn't qualify. It's a riskier loan, and that's why there's a higher return. It's not an interest rate. These are cash advances. It's not a loan. These are cash advances, and then the money is paid back with merchant sales. These people wouldn't qualify for any other type of loan. And so these are a higher risk loan. And, they do have a track record as far as making these merchant cash advance deposits for them. But all that money is based upon future income for that store or whatever the business is. So I'm assuming that they just still don't qualify for that kind of lending. But I'll have to have him on again. Were you on for that call, or you listened to the recording?
Yeah, it was a while back, but I was just wondering how COVID or the current, economy that we're in might have, did it shake that industry up? Did it make it stronger, or did it weaken it? I wonder.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a very curious point.
Because when you think about, if you have a store, you're a merchant in a shopping center and everyone's staying home, no one's going out shopping. You just wonder that might have put a big dent in their merchant charges.
Well, I asked him, I spoke to him not too long ago. I'm like, how's this COVID thing? He's like, dude, we're killing it, man. People are, they're needing that money, and we're able to give it to them. They did have a couple of bumps in the road, but they managed to smooth it out. And, people are using that money to rebuild their businesses, and it's just crazy out there. Is Florida still on fire?
Yeah, it's still on fire.
Wow.
Crazy on fire.
It is. Well, good. Tom, you know what? Thanks for doing that. I will get him on another call. So, James.
You're welcome. It was an interesting topic.
Nobody's talking about it either.
Right.
Good. Appreciate that. Okay. Anything else before we wrap up here, folks? Anything at all? Julie, do we have any announcements that need to be made?
Not currently, but I'm sending out some emails next week. So keep
Okay.
an eye out, please.
Yep. So folks, we're changing out the Thinkific website in not too distant future, moving all the training material and these calls over to that website. I think you'll enjoy this website. We put a lot into it, and I know that I like the way it functions, and hopefully you will too. Be able to communicate with each other on a regular basis, and hopefully it'll help with your networking skills. It's really looking good. So
Is that the WordPress platform that
Truly
kind of-
Passive, yeah.
Truly
WordPress,
Passive?
yes,
Okay.
WordPress platform. It's got some crazy good features, and it just keeps getting better. The more we learn about it, the more we learn about how functional it is and how functional it could be. Very exciting. I'm really like really excited. This is a lifetime thing for me. And yeah, and Julie's saying to have more control too, as far as the way it works, the way it functions. I like the interactivity of it, where you can see who's online at the moment. And hey, you might be poking around there at 2:00 in the morning, and some other student that you want to get in touch with is on there, and boom, you send them a chat, and and you're hopefully forming a business relationship or a friendship or whatever. So it's our little Facebook. Really looking forward to having that. So, all right, folks, I'm going to wrap up. I appreciate everybody being on this call tonight. And if you have any topics or questions during the week, feel free to email them over. And we will catch you, I think, next week. I think we're going to have a call next week. So we're going to go back to our weekly Thursday calls. So again, have a great night. Thanks for being on, and we'll see you all soon.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.